So let's start with our top story. In fact, the first three stories are actually on the PS5. So if you're interested in the PS5, you've absolutely hit gold. If you're not interested, stick around because I'm telling you these are incredible stories that will actually tell you something about what you may get very, very interested in the future. So the PS5, our first story of course is a review of it. Now while I'll take you deep into our review, and we've done multiple ways to test it, including trying out compatibility of old games like PS4 games and how do they perform on this, we'll actually talk a lot about this, the ergonomics of it. I mean, while it's a very, very futuristic looking product, but is it actually built right? I mean, it is really, really big. So can it be placed everywhere? Are you going to struggle for space? If you actually put it like this, will it be coming till where your TV is? That's part one, even though it comes with a stand. Part two, and this is where I think is the start of the game changer part of it. This is absolutely ready for the future, right? I mean, in terms of, it's almost like a supercomputer that is camouflaged as a gaming console. But is it going to pay off right now? I mean, is there enough game? Is there enough software out there to actually take this to the limit? Or are we just right now first getting the hardware out and then the software will follow, which is usually a little bit of a strange thing to do, because there should be at least one or two games right in the beginning that makes you say, oh my god, I'm in heaven. Something else that we thought was very interesting was the fact that one of the most irritating things in these gaming consoles is load time. I mean, you have these massive, massive games that take a lot of time to load. With the SSD built in, we realized that this was as quick as possible. And the last part is the controller. Most people saying, oh my god, the controller is amazing. But you're not going to spend 40,000-50,000 rupees on getting a better controller experience only. The entire 360 degree around it should be actually worth it. So let's take a look at our review of the brand new Sony PS5.
We're living in an era where the term gaming has become synonymous with the PlayStation. The clan, whose foundation stone was laid by the original PS1, has grown bigger and stronger over time while erecting some serious milestones on its way up. From the PS2 being the highest selling console of all time to PS4 providing early access to developers for creating video games, the PlayStation has set benchmarks. So when the PS5 was announced, it created a solid buzz within the community. So today on the show, we're doing a comprehensive review of undisputedly the most requested gadget of all time. At first glance, the PS5 looks out of place compared to the usual gadgets around us. With its bulging out corners, the huge size and this startling white color, subtle is not the word that comes to mind when you look at this console. Since the PS5 is a chunky monkey, it will be difficult to place it in a setup, especially if you don't have enough room. Perhaps the better use of this real estate is the new LED setup on the console, which definitely looks great. The latest PlayStation is offered in two variants, an all-digital and a disc drive. The one with us is carrying that Ultra HD Blu-ray optical drive, which in India makes more sense given the general lack of high-speed internet. Otherwise, both of these consoles carry the same high-speed USB Type-A port and USB Type-C port on the front, followed by two super-speed USB Type-A ports, an Ethernet port and an HDMI port on the back. Once up and running, the home screen greets us with a revised UI specifically designed for the PS5. This new menu outlay definitely looks more premium in its black overall theme compared to the one we've seen on the previous gen consoles. Not only does it look good, it is also more user-friendly. There's also a menu tray now where you will see the games that you've been playing, followed by generic controls like power, settings and network. There are also cards from different games which have a dedicated use. From the last checkpoint to tutorials, these cards will be programmed according to the developer. One of this generation's most important upgrades is the switch from traditional hard drives to solid-state storage hard drives, cutting down on loading times dramatically and reducing the booting up speed to a flash. The SSD drive on the latest PlayStation is unparalleled, but there is a limitation to it. Out of the 825 gigs of storage, we get to use only 667 gigabytes. In gaming terms, that means that you'll be able to store just up to a dozen PS5 games before you have to get down to choosing your favorite titles. And now moving to the biggest addition on the PlayStation, the all-new DualSense controller. Transitioning from the traditional DualShock, this new controller is leaps ahead of what we've ever seen in gaming. When it was initially revealed, the gaming community complained that it is bigger than the DUALSHOCK 4, and indeed it is when compared with each other, but it is safe to say increasing the size has paid off. The adaptive triggers on the controller personifies the scene that you're in. Every step and every swipe, the response of the control helps the player differentiate between each scene. This time around, Sony provides a mute button to the controller itself, which we found to be really useful. There's also an inbuilt microphone and speaker on the controller, which means playing multiplayer titles won't require a headphone set. But if you are from Team Headphones, then don't worry, it retains the 3.5mm headphone jack. The battery life on the DualSense controller is not as great as the DualShock. We get about 3 hours of backup in a single charge, but as an overall package, that's absolutely fine. Now, we can't review a console without gaming on it. The game we chose on the PS5 was Astro's Playroom. The moment you tap X on the controller, PS5 amazes you, first with its speed and then with its performance. When it comes to computational power for gaming, the word lag is not in the dictionary for this console. We ran a session of over 3 hours on the PlayStation and we could feel everything next gen, from response time to controller feedback. Surprisingly, this is a very quiet machine, which is not something you expect while gaming in 4K. We can't forget that the PS5 is backward compatible, so we blew off the dust from the OG Spider-Man from PS4 and loaded it up to experience it in this next-gen console. So what was it like to play Peter's story on the latest console? One word: spectacular. In our game day with the PS5, representing the Gadgets 360 show was DHRUV Mohan. So let's hear it from him what he felt like gaming on the latest console.
So I had a great day today playing with the PlayStation 5. But first of all, I want to share what we got in the box. Here's a certificate that reads India Day 1 PS5 Consumer. Well, if you bought it from a scalper market, there's a chance that you wouldn't get it. But we did. Coming down to the point about video games. That is why we buy all of these consoles, right? Well, unfortunately, the PlayStation 5 is also suffering the same fate we saw with the Xbox Series X. What I'm trying to say here is that there's a lot of computational power when it comes to gaming in this particular console. But unfortunately, PS5 specific titles will not be showing up anytime soon. Most of the games coming out on the PS5 will be simultaneously coming out on the PS4. So is it worth the upgrade? I say yes, it is. Because PlayStation 5 is not just a console for now. It is an investment. It is a long-term investment for that matter.
To conclude, Sony PS5 is already turning out to be a long-term investment. While there is yet to be a library of games developed specifically for this console, it is assured that whatever you throw at it, it will make that better. At Rs 49,990, this is not an inexpensive machine, but it surely lives up to the title of next gen.